MeMonster.
Chapter 51. It feels like too much trouble to add more people just because of me. I really don't want to be a burden. In reality, it's more because I don't want to run into Sungyang Jae, the leader of Saesung Guild. It's not just that he gives me the creeps, but more importantly, my current condition is the problem. Even Yu Yun mentioned that I seemed a bit off, so there's a good chance Saesung Hyun Jae might notice something too. Sure, I could just use the lizard on the wall skill and bluff my way out of it, but there's no reason to walk right into danger on my own 2 feet. What burden? Absolutely not. Kang So-young looks at me with genuine sincerity filling her eyes. Those big sparkling eyes are really beautiful. It's like her whole face is the epitome of the word adorable. She speaks again, her voice equally earnest. This is for the person who'll raise my child, after all. Yeah, I've heard this nonsense before. Never thought I'd hear it again so soon. Saying things like that is a bit inappropriate. Other people could misunderstand if they hear you. It's fine. Everyone says it like that. Wait, what? Everyone? Kang So-young nods her head cutely. Yep, Hanya Ani, that is, the Breaker Guild leader, said it a few times, and before I knew it, it had spread everywhere. Damn it, Moniana, what do you mean it spread everywhere? What kind of nonsense are you spreading now? I told her to stop gossiping about my brother, and now she's talking about me. What makes it worse is that it's not entirely untrue, which just makes me want to strangle her even more. Still, wouldn't it be better to use terms like mount or monster or even beast? Referring to them as your child seems a bit too much. That sounds so cold. Besides, a top-tier mount is something you spend your life with, a partner you can't easily replace. I'm going to take care of mine with real love, just like I would my own child. I already feel my heart racing just thinking about it. How adorable will my baby dragon be? Her cheeks flush slightly as she talks. I can't say I don't understand how she feels, but still, there's no need for you to feel burdened. You can even ask for more if you want. Is there anything you need? I may not look it, but I've saved up quite a lot of money. Considering she's an A-rank hunter from a massive guild, of course she has a lot of money. But if I actually ask for something, I'd feel like some scumbag trying to extort a kid. Not that she's much of a kid. Well, 6 years younger, I suppose. She's not even 20 yet. Anyway, I don't really need anything. No, I'm fine. I don't need anything. In that case, I'll at least help you with your garden stroll. No, but really, I can't bother you with something like that. Don't worry. Everyone will be happy to help. But if it really bothers you, I'll make sure to get permission from the guild leader. With that, she immediately took out her phone. Well, it's not like it matters since Yu Yun's not going to allow it anyway. In the meantime, Kang So-young was already chatting with Shea Sung-hyun. The conversation was much more cheerful than I expected. The guild leader says it's totally fine for you to come anytime. He's even going to send some people over right away. Ah, I see. Well, there's still one more hurdle to clear. Smiling at Kang So-young, I took out my phone. Then I'll get permission from the high-end guild leader. I can't just leave whenever I feel like it. Of course, you should do that. She smiled so brightly that I started to feel a little bad. There's no way Yu Hyun's going to agree. I dialed his number, and soon enough, Yu Hyun picked up. I briefly explained the situation and asked, "It's still too soon for me to go out, right? It's okay if you say no. I understand. Come on, just say no quickly. It might be too soon, but if you're okay with it, you can go." What? Hold on a second. I mean, this is a visit to another guild. Are you sure I can go? Of course, MCK is off limits, and I'm still uneasy about Breaker and Han Sun, but Saesung is fine. Yu Hyun repeated that it was okay to go. Wait, this isn't the Yu Hyun I know. Did I dial the wrong number? I was starting to feel guilty about keeping you cooped up indoors all the time. It might do you some good to get some fresh air once in a while. That place is pretty well maintained, too. Uh, okay. The call ended. My brother had betrayed my trust. My head felt like it was throbbing from the shock. Is Saesung really that trustworthy? Or is it because of Kang So-young? Could it be that my brother already has a thing for her? Is he seriously selling out his older brother just to look good in front of a girl? When I glanced over at Kang So-young, she gave me an innocent smile and mouthed, "All good?" while tilting her head. Ugh. Aren't you worried or concerned at all? Well, no, it's fine. You must be feeling suffocated, right? It'll be much safer than anywhere else, so don't worry. I'll send 2 people from our side to accompany you as well. Just take it easy and enjoy yourself. Uh, okay. The call ended. My brother had betrayed my trust. My head felt like it was throbbing from the shock. Is Saesung really that trustworthy? Or is it because of Kang So-young? Could it be that my brother already has a thing for her? Is he seriously selling out his older brother just to look good in front of a girl? When I glanced over at Kang So-young, she gave me an innocent smile and mouthed, "All good?" while tilting her head. Ugh. She smiled so brightly that I started to feel a little bad. It makes sense if my brother had already fallen in love with her. Then again, what guy wouldn't? Even if Yu-yun isn't interested, she's got that kind of charm. Not that I'm sure if she really has feelings for him, but where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, it's fine. I just need to be careful. They do seem like they'd make a good couple. Besides, Yuhyun always looked lonely in that big house. They might as well just start dating and get married. My niece or nephew would probably be cute. Mixed kids are often really adorable and pretty after all. It'd be nice if they looked like Yuhyun. Yes, I'll be in your care. And so will my brother. We've arrived, Kang So-young chirped cheerfully. Saesung's rooftop garden was located on the 15th floor of their second building, which was connected to the main building. As she opened the glass door, the scent of fresh grass drifted in with the breeze. It's been ages since I've been to a place like this. I can't even remember when. There had been dungeons with forest or meadow environments, but that's not quite the same. A leisurely walk in the park? I definitely didn't have time for that. No, that's just an excuse. I could have made time if I'd really wanted to. It doesn't take that much time to visit a nearby park. Besides, you don't even need to go to a park specifically. You can just take a walk as soon as you step outside your house. You can take a slow stroll, looking around with fresh eyes, occasionally tilting your head up to check the sky. See what kind of shapes the clouds are making today, how much the trees lining the streets have grown in the summer. Maybe even read the flyers stuck to the walls or watch an ant crawl between the cracks in the pavement. Well, I can't do that anymore, even if I wanted to. It's not like I can just wander around freely on my own anymore. Maybe I should make something like this at my own place. The rooftop garden was expansive. While open and split, we were on a rooftop. The walking paths were well designed, flower beds meticulously arranged, sculptures scattered here and there, with a fountain and even a small greenhouse. And not a single person was in sight. There's no one here. We've restricted access so that you can use the space freely. There are still some people around, though, keeping watch. Someone might try to fly in, after all. Who would even try that in broad daylight? Still, they're thorough. Peace, look at this. It's a lawn. Gung. I set Peace down on the grass, but instead of running around, the young flame-horned lion stuck to my leg. The weather's great, the sunlight's lovely, and the view is nice, but he doesn't seem interested at all. What's wrong? You don't like it? King! Look, there's a butterfly over there. Even the little yellow butterfly fluttering around failed to catch his attention. At this point, I started to get a bit worried. Is his trauma worse than I thought? Do they have animal therapists? What should I do, Peace? Squatting down, I reached out to stroke his neck, and Peace clung tightly to my arm. He seemed especially clingy. Does he just not want to be separated from me? Maybe it's not about being kidnapped, but the fact that we were suddenly apart. He had been suddenly taken and locked up alone for a long time, and since he's sensitive enough to detect emotional skills, even if he was asleep, he might have been somewhat aware of what was going on around him. You won't have to go through that again. I'm not sure how much he understands, but I tried to comfort him anyway. See that woman over there? You can tell how strong she is, right? She's here to protect you. That's right, Peace. I'm here, so you don't have to worry. Kang So-young chimed in, crouching down next to me. Then, without warning, she pulled me into a light hug. At the same time, Peace tensed and bristled his fur. Grrn! It's okay, Peace. This woman is a good person. She's not trying to hurt me. Exactly. We're close. Look. Then she kissed me on the cheek. Well, wait, that's a bit much. Is it because she's foreign? The physical affection is a bit over the top. Grr? Peace tilted his head, watching us, clearly puzzled by the scene. You can relax and play now, Peace. You're safe. Peace's red-tufted ears twitched. Finally, he let go of me and started to cautiously look around. Since the Flame-Horned Lion dungeon is in a volcanic area, this lush greenery is probably the first time he's ever seen such a thing. Plop. His little paw scraped against the grass. The freshly cut blades scattered in all directions. He sniffed the air, taking in the scent of the grass, and then spun in a little circle before looking back up at me. Do you like it? Gin! It jumped in place before starting to explore its surroundings. It didn't seem ready to stray too far away yet, but I'm sure it'll recover soon. I think it's fine for you to let go of me now, I told Kang So-young, who was still hugging me. There were watchers around, so it'd be better if we maintained an appropriate distance. Do you need help standing up? No, I'm fine. As if I can't manage to stand on my own. I might look like a sickly chick on the verge of collapse, but I can handle myself, thank you. Following Peace in the direction he wanted to go, we strolled along the path. He leapt into a flower bed full of hydrangeas, and soon the light purple petals scattered everywhere. The flower bed was a wreck in an instant. It's fine. As soon as I opened my mouth, Kang So-young gave me a bright smile and spoke. Don't worry about it. He can tear up the whole garden if he wants. We can just redo the landscaping later. As expected from a big guild, they have resources to spare. Peace seems so happy too. Once the bowing skills effect wears off, we'll have to come here often. If you don't mind me asking, how long does it take for a top-tier mount to grow? I haven't heard the specifics yet. It depends on the species, so I can't say for sure. The type and rank play a role, as well as how well they respond to training. For a dragon from an S-rank dungeon, I'd say it'd be around grade 2 or 3.
If only one appears, it's probably grade 2. But if there's a nest involved, it's almost certainly a group. Kang So-young nodded in response to my explanation. Yes, it's a grade 3 dragon species, a thornwing rock dragon. For a dragon species, it has great stamina and defense, and its overall stats are impressive. Dragon species tend to be on the weaker side of the draconic spectrum, but because of their exceptional flying ability, they're extremely useful as mounts. It's got 3 massive spikes like this sticking out of its wings, and they're just so cute. Excuse me? Did she just call spikes cute? Spikes the size of her outstretched arms? There's also this scale-like spike at the end of its tail, and it can shoot that too. It's about the size of my arm, and it's even coated in paralyzing venom. Plus, even though it's a dragon, it has all 4 legs, which makes it even cuter. It's sturdy, and its scales are tough too. The scales are black and glossy, like a string of polished black gems. It's just so beautiful. To be honest, I can only imagine a terrifying giant winged lizard with spikes all over. A monstrous black dragon with a fierce, intimidating appearance. Her tastes are a bit unique. Ever since the first raid, I've been dying to tame one, and I never thought I'd get the chance. Ever since I learned the monster taming skill, it's like I've been walking on clouds every day. Can I hug you one more time? No, you cannot. So that's why she's been all bubbly since we first met. She's been on cloud 9 this whole time. Even now, she's this happy. I bet if I said I love you after helping her raise the mount, the keyword effect would kick in instantly. Still, I don't know what the keyword might do, so it's better not to risk it. I don't want to end up being called Dad or Mom by my sister-in-law. Better watch what I say. Just as I was debating whether or not to bring up Yu-hyun, The weakling's instinct warns you of danger. The premonition skill, which had triggered countless times already today, went off again. And this time... Shit, it's an S rank. Don't you people have anything better to do than show up out of the blue?
Chapter 52. It wasn't easy to suppress the urge to turn around right away. It felt like I was the main character in a horror movie, pretending not to hear the screeching footsteps creeping up behind me. I'm still using Lizard on the Wall. Just in case, I had been using it lightly since before I arrived at Saesung Guild. Even Yuhyun, who knows me well, could barely sense it, so no matter how sharp Sunghyung-jae was, he shouldn't be able to notice easily. I mean, he wouldn't go so far as to shove his nose into me and sniff around like my little brother did, right? Ah, guild leader! It wasn't until Kang So-young noticed and turned around that I could finally turn as well. The man, looking far younger than his actual age, who was nearing 40, was dressed very casually. He had rolled up the sleeves of his shirt, and there was no tie to be seen. He looked so relaxed that I couldn't bring myself to say something like, "Thank you for making time in your busy schedule. I'm glad to see you looking healthy. I've been quite worried." Wow, what a kindly expression and tone. If I were just a little more gullible, I might have fallen for it and been genuinely moved. "I'm sorry you had to come all this way just to check on me." I softened my inner thoughts of, "I wish you'd just go away," into more polite words. Sunghyung-jae smiled at my response. All S-ranks have it, but he really is ridiculously handsome. Damn these guys who have it all. "Your brother, Han Yu-hyun, is all about protecting you, but he really should have given you more information." I got a bit defensive thinking he was going to badmouth Yu-hyun, but I held back because of the mention of information. It's true that Yu-hyun hasn't told me much. Even though I was the one kidnapped, I still don't know how everything was handled afterward. Whenever I asked, he would just brush me off with, "Don't worry, it's all being taken care of." If I hadn't regressed and had only gained the monster taming skill, Yu-hyun would have handled all the negotiations, and I'd have been left in the dark, clueless, and trapped. That thought gave me chills. My brother can be a bit frustrating, yes. He wasn't always like that, though. Should I take Yu-hyun out for drinks again? It seems like we're both in need of an open and honest conversation. If you don't mind, would you like to sit down and talk for a bit? Sunghyung-jae suggested, seeing my somewhat sour expression. What should I do? I don't plan to pretend I know nothing forever. My goal may be to live peacefully as a building owner, but I'll still need to make some effort to protect what I have. For now, though, I'm still under the watchful eyes and ears of Haeun Guild, so I can't make any reckless moves. Luring in a future informant like Do Ha-min would be easy, but that's something I should do after I've established my own base. I haven't even begun demolishing, let alone started construction, so I might as well hear a bit from the Saesung Guild leader. Sure, I'd be happy to. I nodded with a smile that said, "I don't know anything." We moved to a table under a pergola in one corner of the garden. Kang So-young excused herself, saying she'd bring some refreshments. Peace, still not entirely trusting Sunghyung-jae, climbed up into my lap instead of playing. At least he wasn't clinging as much as before, so it seemed the walk had helped a bit. Han Yu-hyun's recent actions have been hard to understand. Sunghyung-jae spoke in his usual relaxed tone. Well, Yu-hyun did get a bit messed up because of the keyword effect, but has it gotten worse? I thought he was getting better, especially since he even let me go out today. If it were before you got the monster taming skill, I'd understand, but now, Han Yu-jin, you have more than enough power to gather your own forces and grow stronger. If you establish your position properly, you could even surpass most major guilds. You've already laid the foundation with the last negotiation. Wow. He's really overestimating me. Not that I couldn't do it if I really tried. But I'm not that ambitious. As I mentioned before, the demand for mounts will gradually decrease over time. At my words, Sunghyung-jae chuckled softly.
Do you really believe that? Isn't it inevitable? Unless people start doing something crazy like using top-tier mounts as disposable items. Of course no one would do that. But top-tier mounts, and especially the best of the best, are on par with A-rank and S-rank hunters. They can be used not just as mounts, but as team members, or even entire monster units. Well, that's true. But top-tier mounts, and especially the best of the best, are on par with A-rank and S-rank hunters. They can be used not just as mounts, but as team members, or even entire monster units. Well, that's true. But the law limits how many monsters a guild can own, right? Even Sangyong wouldn't be able to maintain more than 5 or so top-tier mounts. Taming isn't a skill that allows perfect control over monsters like they're puppets or robots. Even Peace, who I have as a tamed monster, still throws tantrums and acts unpredictably at times. Tamed monsters view their owner as their leader and don't harm them, but that's about it. If tamers could completely control and command them, tamers would be seen as hunters who lead monster armies into dungeons rather than specialists who tame and sell them. For this reason, whether a monster is wild or tamed, there's a limit on how many a guild or organization can possess, ensuring they remain controllable. That's true for now. But what about the future? Sanghyun Jae smiled mysteriously as he continued. Han Yujin, laws only exist because nations and societies do. Well, yes. From the first appearance of dungeons until now, their number and difficulty have only increased. For the time being, we have more than enough resources to manage all the dungeons. It'll become even easier once the awakening centers are fully operational. But how long do you think this leeway will last? Personally, I'd say 5 years at most. Around then, you'll start seeing significant changes. That's an eerily accurate prediction, although in the timeline I know, even 5 years later, there were still no changes to the monster taming laws. But thinking about it, there was no need to change them at that time. That's because there were no top-tier mounts around. The highest ranked taming skill at the time was A rank, so even top-tier mounts were rare. In order to obtain a high-tier mount, you had to tame a B rank or lower monster and raise it, and not all monsters could grow beyond their rank, making it somewhat dependent on luck. So are you saying that in the future, it's possible that dungeons could be cleared using only monsters? Not entirely, but there will likely be teams that include monsters as members. You'll be the only one who can consistently raise S-rank and A-rank hunters, or rather, monsters. And once you've established yourself, you could grow much larger than any of the major guilds. I had a bad feeling that I might never be able to retire at this rate. Why didn't I consider the possibility that the laws could change? But still, wouldn't it be dangerous to have monsters roaming around outside the dungeons? It's better than having high-level dungeons constantly breaking out, but still. I'm starting to feel a bit overwhelmed. There's still time, so you can take your time establishing your position. More importantly, unless someone else with a similar skill shows up, your value will only increase. You don't need to hide and hold back anymore. You can act more freely. More freely? Yes! What's the worst that could happen if you throw your weight around a bit? Your skill is irreplaceable. Sanghyun Jae's eyes crinkled in amusement as he spoke. You can do whatever you want. Even if it's not with the guilds you've already negotiated with, any guild with the ability to hold top-tier mounts will bend over backwards to meet your demands, not just domestically, but overseas as well. In fact, foreign guilds are already lining up hoping to get in contact with you. Want me to give you a contact? You could call them up anytime. No, thank you. He's telling me to demand anything I want from any guild. What is this? That's some next-level power play. I guess it's true that people who have been in power know how to throw their weight around. I'd be perfectly content just owning one building, honestly. That's your position right now. Just imagine telling someone, "Oh, I'm too tired to raise this top-tier baby monster," and guild leaders will be lining up to ask what you need. They'll practically beg you for a chance. That sounds a bit unethical. This guy's got a nasty personality, doesn't he? Why is he sitting me down and encouraging all kinds of power-tripping behavior? Is it because he's not directly involved, since the contract mentions proper care? There's no way Yoo-hyun doesn't realize all this, yet he's still wrapping you up like a mother bird with a chick. That's not like him. Sunghyun Jae seemed genuinely puzzled by Yoo-hyun's behavior. Well, the key word, since the caretaker is the same person, I think it's applied twice as hard. My stat ranks are quite low after all. Even if I'm in a position to throw my weight around, a crazy person could still come at me and I'd lose my head in an instant. That's easily solved by keeping one top-tier mount by your side. In fact, there's already talk within Haeyeon about using their second top-tier baby mount for your protection. Is that so? Didn't Yoo-hyun mention it? MKC will be covering the cost as part of the compensation for the kidnapping incident. It's a good offer for me, but Yoo-hyun, you sneaky bastard, keeping me in the dark again. He probably would have told me once it was finalized, but it wouldn't hurt to give me a heads up. I feel like I'm becoming more like Moon Hana. Seeing my expression, Sunghyun Jae shrugged. I had blocked out the sound with a skill, but apparently Moon Hana had told him directly. No, it's a bit different. I'm also aware that my brother's behavior is overprotective. Still, he's doing it out of concern for me, and once I leave Haeyeon, he won't be able to interfere as much, so I've been turning a blind eye. I recommend having a proper conversation with him. Yes, I'll make sure to do that.
While we continued chatting, Kang So-young returned with some refreshments. The treats were luxurious and delicious, though they fell a bit short compared to what Myung-woo had made. Thinking about how busy he'd be once he got his blacksmith skill made me feel a bit down again. This is just a small token. Sunghyun Jae handed me a small jewelry box with a certificate of authenticity. As you might have heard from So-young, we'll be relying on you soon, so consider it a gesture of thanks. A bribe, huh? The certificate showed that it was an S-rank item. It increased magic and had a B-rank barrier skill effect. Whoa! Even though the barrier is B-rank, skill effect items are rare both now and in the future. I opened the jewelry box to find an earring that looked similar to the black fairy earring I lost, except with a red gem instead of a black one. This feels a bit excessive. It should feel excessive. That's the point. And this. He then took out a large wing bone from his inventory. It was dried well, with a bit of flesh still attached. Peace perked up his ears at the sight of it. Most high-ranking carnivorous monsters seem to love dragon bones. First I've heard of that. Peace wasted no time grabbing the dragon wing bone and chomping down on it. He hugged it with his front paws, clearly delighted. Maybe Sunghyun Jae isn't so bad after all. Early in the morning, I received a message confirming the successful purchase of exclusive access to an F-rank dungeon located 20 minutes by taxi from Haeyeon Guild's building. It was the dungeon I had applied for 2 nights ago. There were no competitors, since it was rare for anyone to pay extra to exclusively bid on a low-value F-rank dungeon. As soon as I received the confirmation message, I contacted Yoo-hyun and told him I'd be staying home today to rest. I claimed to be feeling a bit under the weather and that I'd take some medicine and sleep, which led to quite the ordeal convincing him not to come check on me. I also asked him to keep it a secret from others, saying it would be a hassle if people found out. When did I buy this? Rummaging through my half-packed bags for something to cover my face, I found a sunshade hat. It covered everything but my eyes with fabric, making it impossible for anyone to recognize me. Why did I even buy this? Was last summer's sun that harsh? Or did I have some reason to hide my face? Even though it's a bit early in the season, it's the beginning of summer, so wearing it wouldn't look too out of place. I made sure to pack the gate stone in my inventory and double-checked my gear. It wasn't much, just the magic essence boost. I had plenty of potions and didn't need to bring emergency food. Even if I don't exit halfway and clear the dungeon in one go, it shouldn't take more than an hour given my current rank. I decided I'd clear the dungeon myself. If I monopolize the loot, it'll more than make up for the cost of the exclusive access. Grrr. As I grabbed my hat and stepped into the living room, Peace, who had been gnawing on the dragon wing bone I received yesterday, let out a low growl and ran over to me. I patted him on the horn and spoke soothingly. "Daddy's just going out for a bit. Take care of the house, okay? I won't be long." Gree! And try not to break too much furniture. Myung-woo would be back by evening, but just in case, I left Peace in the living room telling him I was going to take a nap. I also told him to wait before coming home if he couldn't reach me, since I wouldn't be answering my phone. Even though Peace is well behaved, it's still risky to leave him with someone at F rank. I'll be back soon. I was worried he might try to follow me, but thankfully, Peace sat quietly at the inner door watching me leave. What a good boy. Now I just need to get out of here without any trouble.
Chapter 53. Screech! I quietly opened the door and slipped into the hallway. The surveillance cameras on the dormitory floor were still only at the entrance, and since my room was tucked away down the corridor, I could move without being seen by anyone, thanks to the bend in the hallway. After checking my surroundings once more, I pulled my cap down low and maximized the lizard on the wall skill. Originally, it was just a D-ranked skill with minimal effect, but now things were different. The special skill for concealing myself had quadrupled its effect. Even an A rank would have a hard time noticing me unless they were paying close attention. Still, just to be sure, I had tested it the night before. Hiding silently in the corner of the hallway with lizard on the wall active, none of the A-rank hunters coming and going in the dorm had noticed me. Yerim's gone to the association, so I just need to avoid my little brother. If I get caught, so what? Like Sun Hyung-jae said, I can push the limits a little more. I'm not doing anything bad, and if Yoo-hyun catches me sneaking out, what can he really do? Lock me up again like before? Unless it's before the negotiations regarding monster mounts, even Hyen's guild leader can't just do as he pleases with me now. He'll probably just give me some nagging, complaining that he doesn't trust me, and act all disappointed thinking I'm hiding something. Still, I'd better avoid getting caught. It's just a hassle. When I headed towards the elevator, I saw one of Hyen's A-rank hunters sitting by reading a book. I quietly positioned myself in a corner, keeping an eye on her. The emergency stairwell door was locked, and moving the elevator randomly would look suspicious, so I had no choice but to wait for the lunch delivery person. Since I came out around lunchtime, it didn't take long for the elevator to arrive. A cafeteria worker handed the hunter her lunch. I used that moment to slip into the elevator. "You've worked hard. Enjoy your meal." The cafeteria worker got back on the elevator. There was a surveillance camera inside, so while the worker was pressing the button for the cafeteria floor and covering the panel, I extended a tendril to discreetly press the first floor button. Luckily, when someone presses a floor, the corresponding light comes on, so it just looked like the worker had accidentally pressed the wrong button. When I got off the first floor, there was a glass door between the lobby and the hallway. This was the tricky part. I had no choice but to wait for someone to pass through. As long as Yoo-hyun doesn't show up. Please don't come. Stay busy at work. If I wait too long, Yerim might come back. I really need someone to come or go soon. Thankfully, it wasn't long before one of Hyen's B-rank hunters approached. As soon as security opened the glass door for them, I quickly slipped out. Even though there was an A-rank stationed at the security room, it seemed they hadn't noticed anything unusual with all the people coming and going from the lobby. Without special skills, even an A-rank or S-rank would have a hard time sneaking in unnoticed. Concealment-type special skills are incredibly rare. The only publicly known person with a perfect stealth skill is Goblin. Typically, only monsters possess such skills, and Goblin isn't human either, so it might be a compatibility issue. Even if someone did have such a skill, they wouldn't likely advertise it. After safely leaving the building, I walked for about 10 minutes. Then I canceled the skill between the buildings, bought a pair of sunglasses from a nearby shop to hide my face, and caught a taxi. Before long, I arrived at the F-rank dungeon, a small building tucked away behind a larger one. It looked like it had originally been a small parking lot. Considering how hard it is to get proper rewards from F-rank dungeons, the building's owner sure was lucky not to have it appear inside.
Approaching the specially reinforced building, I entered the code I had received earlier into the keypad next to the door and scanned the chip on my hunter license. The door opened, and I walked through a short hallway until I reached the gate, standing alone in the empty room. While they respected my request for privacy, I knew the surveillance cameras were still running. They were probably tracking the number of people who entered, too. Entry logs are kept for at least a month just in case. No one will check them, though. Well, let's head in. It might just be an F-rank dungeon, but going in alone still feels strange. Without wasting time, I stepped through the blue gate. Screech! Screech! The air shifted abruptly. From amidst the dense trees, I could hear the cries of some unknown beast. I took off my hat, hung it by the string around my neck, and slung it over my back. I also removed my sunglasses. Against the monsters here, my bare hands should be enough. Though I considered pulling out some equipment, I already had on the black fairy earring, so I just added a bracelet that boosted strength. Since the earring only boosted essence, it wasn't particularly useful here, and I couldn't be bothered to gear up fully. Maybe I should stock up on more equipment that increase proportional stats. This situation could arise again. There are only a few targets for the keyword effect right now, but as I continue to raise more monsters, there's always a chance of an unlucky accident. Hopefully it won't happen, but I have to be prepared. Wrestle. I sensed movement in the trees above. Soon a green-tinted face poked through the leaves. Screech! Screech! It was a moss monkey. I aimed extending tendrils at the monster. Screech! Being an F-rank monster, it didn't stand a chance and collapsed without any resistance, though it was still alive. It had also gotten caught on a branch, so it didn't fall.
Looks like extending tendrils works better here than claw slash. The trees around me were over 10 meters tall, but they grew thinner as they went up, meaning the heavy-bodied monkeys could only roam the lower, thicker branches. The tendrils had enough reach. If all else failed, I could always throw a rock. I picked one up and coated it lightly with venom as a test before throwing it. Thud. With a dull sound, the monkey that had been hanging on the branch dropped to the ground. High stats are great. Normally, I wouldn't have the strength to knock it down in one shot. Whether it was from the rock to the head or the poison seeping in, the moss monkey soon died. Should I bother looking for a mana stone or not? I really don't want to rummage through its corpse. Before the regression, I wouldn't have complained, but now it just feels like a hassle. Plus, I don't want to get my clothes dirty. Still no word? I checked my status window several times, but there was no change. Another moss monkey approached, so I snapped its neck with extending tendrils. Seriously? Is that it? Just a confirmation and nothing more? On one hand, it was a relief, but on the other hand, it was kind of annoying. Then it happened. Finally, a message window popped up. But EHULEB key. Yes? No? Are you talking to me? Are you saying it's not my fault? What nonsense is this all of a sudden? Then another message appeared. This time it was legible. Wish, stone, mythical grade. Grants one wish of the user's choice. It was the item description for a wish stone. But why now? Wait a minute, there are only 2 lines. There should be 3. Fuck. You said you can't bring back the dead, didn't you? Are you telling me the system creator lied? Was it possible all along? What? Damn it, I knew something was off when you can turn back time but couldn't bring back one dead person. I've been tricked, haven't I? I got angry for a moment, but I quickly calmed down. Honestly, the current situation is much better than just reviving Yuhien at that time, not just for me, but overall. The fact that Suk Hyen's research is being distributed fairly means this world will be much safer than it was 5 years from now. Plus, with monster mounts, things will definitely turn out better than the chaotic future that was supposed to happen. So it's not like I really mind being tricked. But it wasn't my fault. The reason I went back in time was that the system creator deceived me, so it's not my fault. Which means, could it be that something is going to go wrong because of the regression? Is there some kind of problem I should be saying, oh, this is my fault about? Is that why they're telling me this? How considerate. So what's the problem then? I waited a moment, but no more messages appeared. Time to sum it up. I was tricked by the system creator into going back in time. The system creator knows about my pre-regression life. Something is going to go wrong because of the regression. That's basically it. Also, when the system creator sends me messages unrelated to the system itself, they can't use proper letters. I suspected as much when the text was vertical. Inside the dungeon, the restrictions are a bit looser, but they can still only send indirect messages. If they try to communicate directly, we get glitches like last time. Anyway, so what kind of problem is going to come up? Can you just tell me clearly? It's driving me nuts. Then another message window appeared. Punt is not equal to punt t. You might as well draw a picture. Are you saying your mouth is sealed and you can't talk? I don't care if it causes some glitches like last time. Just tell me already. I was still in front of the gate and I had Lizard on the Wall active at full power. Unless a Lotartis or something popped out, I could get out without a problem. After I shouted, another message popped up. Oh, my dear, don't be mad. We understand your frustration. Yes, we'd love to explain everything, but we can't. To have a direct conversation, sacrifices must be made. Preparations are needed too. Last time, it was a rookie. Only your time was reversed. The dungeons are separate. We're trying to delay their progress. The more interference, the quicker things will be exposed. More information revealed. Dangerous. Proper. Preparation. 1 week. Dungeon. A flood of messages came in. Wait, slow down. What? Only our side had time rewound, and the dungeons are separate, so they should still be the same difficulty and quantity as 5 years from now, but they're trying to slow things down. Are you saying the dungeon difficulty is going to increase faster than before the regression? What the hell? And what's this about being exposed? Is there something else out there? It seems I need to prepare and come back to the dungeon in a week. But in a week, the blessing's duration will be over. I already told Yuhin that I wanted to run a dungeon so I could just ask him again. At that moment, the message window began to shake and distort. I guess they were really pushing it to send me this. Even the surroundings started to shimmer, like a heat haze in midsummer. It feels like something big is about to appear. Luckily, the gate was still inactive, so I could leave without using a gate stone. Thud. Something white and round fell from the sky. It rolled on the ground like a little rice cake, then flipped over and opened its beak wide. Jeep! What is this? It's cute! Jeep, jeep! It chirped again. Its 2 legs dangled in the air, flailing. Covered in soft, fluffy down like a dandelion seed, it had beady black eyes and a tiny yellow beak and feet. A baby bird? It was only the size of 2 fists put together. No matter how I looked at it, it seemed completely harmless. Chip, chip, flap, flap. Damn, look at those tiny wings. What the hell is this thing? Did that really just appear? No, it can't be. Did it fall from a nest up in a tree? Baffled, I activated the promising talent skill. DN can DN ethereal being.
Current stat grade, F. Potential stat growth, optimized initial skills. To be acquired after growth. 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 It really is a glitch, isn't it? Right now, it's just an F-rank baby, and that's all the information I can get. But judging by the number of optimized initial skills, this definitely isn't an ordinary monster. It has 5 of them. Even Peace and Yurim, who can grow to AS rank, only have 3 or 4 skills. It looks like this little guy's rank is S, though I can't guarantee that just based on the number of boxes. What should I do? Can I really leave a glitch monster like this alone? But killing it, I don't know, it just feels wrong. While I was hesitating, the baby bird managed to get on its feet and waddled around the bushes. Since I was using Lizard on the Wall, it hadn't noticed me. Instead, it found the dead moss monkey and started waddling toward it. Chirp, 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 chirp. It chirped, talking to itself, and was about to peck at the corpse. Wait, that thing is poisoned. If it touches it, it'll die instantly with its F-rank stats. No! Chirp! I ran over and grabbed it before it could get close. It froze for surprise for a second, then started flapping its tiny wings furiously. Chirp, 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 chirp. It's okay. I won't hurt you. I quickly deactivated Lizard on the Wall and calmed it down. Luckily, it didn't seem to be poisoned. Its black, beady eyes blinked up at me. Chirp! Yeah, you're a good little bird. Chirp! It was so soft and warm. So cute. What should I do? Should I just take it with me? At this size, I could easily hide it in my jacket. If someone asks where I found it, I'll just say I picked it up. Yeah, that'll work. I'll just stick to that story. Want a mana stone? You hungry? Though a C-rank stone might be too much for an F-rank body, it might be dangerous. But I don't have any F-rank mana stones. Well, I do. Looking up, I saw another moss monkey peeking out from the branches. I guess I'll have to catch this one without using poison. Just wait a moment, little birdie. I'll prepare your meal.
Chapter 54. Screech! Thud! The moss monkey's head cracked open as it fell from the tree. At the same time, the little chirp on my head flapped its wings. Chirp, 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 chirp. It signaled that the moss monkey I had just killed had a mana stone. I had already fed it 2 F-rank mana stones, and since then, every time I killed a monkey with a mana stone, it started chirping at me for more. It seemed that it could sense whether there was a mana stone or not. You're quite the glutton, aren't you? This was the 6th one, and it still wanted more, fluttering around excitedly. Unlike Peace, this little one didn't even touch meat and only ate mana stones. Chirp! Chirp! All right. It's been less than 30 minutes since we met, and it's already sticking to me and demanding food. Maybe it's too young to recognize who's who, just assuming anyone who feeds it is a parent. The moss monkey's mana stone was usually located near the back of its neck. As I pulled out a knife and cut through the skin, the little chirp on my head started doing a tap dance. Chirp, 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 chirp. Ugh! Blood splattered. Even though I tried to be careful, my hands and sleeves up to my elbows were stained with the monkey's blood. I'll have to find a pond and wash up later. The little chirp had come down to my shoulder by now, and I handed it the mana stone. Although it was small, since it was just an F-rank monster's stone, it was still large enough that I didn't expect the bird to gulp it down so easily, but it did, swallowing it with effort. Chirp! You still want more? Chirp! I couldn't understand exactly what it was saying, but it didn't seem full yet. Fine, let's see how much you can eat. I combed through the small forest, hunting down more moss monkeys. When raiding a dungeon, it wasn't necessary to kill all the regular monsters. As long as more than half of them were cleared and the boss monster was defeated, the dungeon would be considered completed. However, the association recommended wiping out all the monsters whenever possible to stabilize the dungeon for a longer period. Since they hadn't developed a technique to accurately gauge dungeon saturation yet, you had to file a report if you left after killing only half the monsters. Once there were no more signs of moss monkeys, I headed towards the pond. The little chirp, having devoured all the mana stones I'd fed it, seemed to be in a good mood, softly chirping as it hummed. If mana stones were normal food, you'd have exploded by now. It had eaten everything I gave it, consuming more than its own body size. Even if it was a mana stone, it had to go through its digestive system, so it seemed to absorb them pretty quickly. Chirp, 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 chirp. You're such a little glutton. This bird is going to be expensive to feed. Even F-rank stones don't come cheap. The pond at the edge of the forest was fairly large. Floating in the clear water were what looked like lily pads, and in the middle of the pond there was a small green island. Girl. Sensing something, a giant moss turtle slowly lifted its head from the water. Its long, protruding fangs looked quite menacing. Chirp, 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 chirp. Why are you giving me a headache? Calm down. As soon as the little chirp saw the turtle, it started going wild.
It didn't seem scared, it looked like it wanted me to kill it. With the moss monkeys, it waited until after I killed them to beg for mana stones, but now it seemed that turtle's mana stone was especially appetizing. Chirp, chirp, chirp! All right, all right. I picked the excited chirp from my head and held it in my arms, worried it might fall off. Meantime, the giant turtle slowly swam towards me, parting the water as it approached. That's good. Come closer. Roar! What's with the roar? Whip! I wrapped its long neck with extending tendrils, and thud! Yanked it hard, throwing the giant turtle out of the water and onto the ground. It flailed, flipped over on its back. Without wasting time, I slashed its bent neck with a knife. Chirp, chirp, chirp! Yeah, wait a second. Amazing achievement. Cleared an F-rank dungeon solo with F-rank stats, F-rank attack skills, and fewer than 3 items. Uh-huh. Where did this achievement message come from? S-rank title, Miracle Rookie. Granted. More windows popped up with various items. But wait a minute, what's this? Miracle Rookie? So it's a title you get for solo clearing a dungeon with F-rank stats, F-rank attack skills, and minimal items. Those conditions are insane. Who could possibly get this? At least let people use full gear. Well, I got it anyway. I guess the system doesn't count the stats and skills I gained from the blessing. It might be possible for someone else with a special skill or some high-stats equipment to get it, but who would even attempt something like this? If you're equipped well enough to solo an F-rank dungeon, you just go tackle a D-rank dungeon with a team. And anyone who could afford gear like that must be filthy rich. The equipment alone would cost at least a few billion won. Chirp, chirp, chirp! As I stood there dumbfounded, the little chirp started squirming out of my arms, jumping down and flapping towards the giant turtle's corpse. Chirp! Geez, this glutton. Now you've gotten blood all over your feathers. I quickly slit the turtle's belly and pulled out the mana stone. Even for an F-rank boss monster, it was quite large. It was about the size of 2 of my fingers, too big for the little bird to swallow in one go. Chirp, chirp! Hold on, I'll break it up for you. Chirp, chirp! The little bird clamped down on my pants leg with its tiny beak when I just held the mana stone without breaking it. Why is this bird so greedy? Clicking my tongue, I brought the mana stone down to its level. Look, it's too big. Chirp! Delighted by the sight of the mana stone, it tried to bite into it, but
It let out a wheeze as it struggled to swallow the stone whole. Hey, there's no way that's going to fit. It's like trying to thread a camel through the eye of a needle. You're gonna choke at this rate. Give it back. Worried that it might hurt itself trying to swallow the stone, I pulled it away. The little bird froze in shock and plopped down onto the ground, then suddenly started wailing. Chirp, chirp, chirp! It looked up at me, crying like it had just been through the most devastating betrayal. I was caught between being exasperated and finding it cute. Where did this little piglet even come from? I quickly crushed the mana stone into smaller pieces and scattered them in front of it. As soon as I did, it happily began pecking at the fragments, as if it had never cried at all. After watching the little bird eat for a bit, I opened my status window. There was the new title. Miracle Rookie. S. A remarkable rookie hunter who solo cleared an F-rank dungeon with minimal stats. Dungeon item rewards doubled. Wow, doubling dungeon rewards? That's great. Really great. Except I won't be raiding any dungeons. What's the point of giving me a title like this when I'm not even going to use it? This would be an amazing title for an A-rank hunter at the very least, especially in an S-rank dungeon. Getting double S-rank mana stones, double S-rank items, and double first clear special rewards would be a massive jackpot. But giving this kind of title to someone with F-rank stats? Are they messing with me? Even for a low-rank hunter, it's way better than nothing. At the very least, you'd be making twice the income, and it would be a lot easier to find a team with this title. If they're lucky, they might even get carried through a C-rank dungeon. Still, I don't think this title is really worth S-rank. Maybe one day, if the blessing skill activates, I'll find some use for it. The other items weren't anything special. Maybe because I cleared the dungeon solo, they were better than usual for an F-rank dungeon, closer to D-rank rewards, but they were all common items. I wonder if I'll get titles for solo clearing higher rank dungeons too. It's tempting. With my current abilities, I could definitely solo a D-rank dungeon. C-rank would be possible, but the size of the area is too large. It would take more than a day or two for me to clear by myself. Since the blessing skill's duration isn't much longer, I should safely aim for a D-rank dungeon. Sorry, Peace, but it looks like I'll be staying home a bit longer. The exclusive pass might be an issue, but it shouldn't be too hard to get one for a D-rank dungeon. If I can't, then I'll just let it go. No harm in trying. If you're done eating, let's wash up and head home. I washed my hands first, and then dunked my outer shirt into the water. The blood that had soaked into the fabric slowly spread across the surface and disappeared. It didn't seem like I'd be able to wash it out completely. It'd be better to just rinse it off and buy new clothes on the way back. I also grabbed the little bird and dipped it in the water. Its size shrank to half of its original fluffiness, so it was all feathers, huh? Chip, chip! I wondered if I had soaked it too much, but with just one shake, it fluffed right back up again. Convenient. Just in case, I washed my face, too. The cold water helped clear my head, and the message from earlier came back to mind. Should I be moving more proactively? I had assumed the dungeon difficulty and increase in numbers would be the same as they were before the regression. But apparently that's not the case. Even though they were trying to slow it down, it seems like things were still progressing faster than before. Monster mounts will help cover some of it, but should I start focusing on people as well? The system creator, or rather creators, they had said we, gave me that quest to gather 50 S ranks. It was probably a hint that I needed to raise more S ranks to prepare. If I could help people like Yirim or Young Woo, who originally wouldn't reach S rank or obtain special skills, it would significantly bolster our forces. Of course, I couldn't use Optimized Awakening often because of its 30-day cooldown, but there was something else I could do. The Special Skill Awakening Center. I had briefly thought about it, but never acted on it. A facility where people's optimal skills could be discovered through promising talent and then the right environment provided to awaken them. If I could help people awaken skills suited to them instead of settling for mediocre combat abilities, it would definitely be useful in the long run. Even if they didn't get an optimized skill, I could raise them through the keyword like I did with Myung-woo if they had potential. The problem is, I only have one body. Chirp. I grumbled as I wrung out my shirt. Damn it, how am I supposed to handle all of this on my own? Raising monsters, checking people's aptitudes, helping them awaken, applying the keyword to boost their skills, connecting Goblin and Sakhayan in the meantime? It's like they're telling me to juggle childcare with a full-time job. And yet, I can't just sit back and do nothing because the future is so uncertain. What's the point of building anything if a nearby S-rank dungeon erupts and everything gets destroyed? If a first-class dragonkind popped out, the whole place would crumble like a sand vessel. I thought I'd be able to relax for at least 5 years, but damn it, why is my life so hard? Tap, tap. I shook off as much water as I could and put my clothes back on. I cleaned the soles of my shoes, covered my face with a scarf, and put the chirp inside my hat, hiding it under the remaining cloth. Don't come out, no matter what. Chirp. Its chirping sounds just like a regular chick, so anyone would assume I was carrying a bird. Someone unfamiliar with monsters might think it's just a baby from a large species of bird.
After making sure the little bird stayed hidden, I exited through the gate beside the pond. As I stepped out of the dungeon management building, I checked my phone. Since I had been inside the dungeon, I hadn't been able to get any calls, and the only texts I had were from unknown numbers. If anyone realized I was missing, my phone would have been blowing up by now. Before heading back to high-end Yun Guild, I stopped by a clothing store and bought a new shirt. I deliberately picked one that was a bit loose, tucking the chirp inside my clothes and using Lizard on the Wall to hide from the shop clerk. Fortunately, they didn't notice either me or the chirp. Chirp, please, stay quiet. As long as it doesn't make any noise, we're good. Thankfully, after eating the turtle's mana stone, it seemed content and was dozing off. I made my way back to the dormitory the same way I had left, arriving at the dormitory floor without any issues. The hunter at the entrance had now put down his book and was knitting. With high stats, their hands were moving incredibly fast. At the door to my room, I checked my surroundings before deactivating my skills. I took off my hat and sunglasses and moved the little chirp back into the hat. All that was left now was going inside. Is it safe to leave a baby bird and a cat in the same place? I suddenly grew concerned. While Peast is a unicorn subspecies, it's still a feline and a carnivore. and this little chirp is unmistakably a baby bird. Would I walk into a bloody scene? Is it even okay to raise them together? Would Peace understand if I taught him not to harm it? Not all monsters are carnivores, and there are bound to be predator-prey relationships among them. I'll have to consider this when raising multiple monsters in the future. If I leave Peace gnawing on a dragon's wing bones in front of a baby dragon we're supposed to raise, that'd be awkward. What should I do? I definitely shouldn't just barge in unprepared. With my current stats, I could hold Peace back easily, but I only have one body. It'd be hard to calm both Peace and the chirp if they got worked up. Should I ask for help from the hunter at the entrance? No, it'd be better for Peace if it was someone he's familiar with. When's ZRM coming back? Maybe I should call her. Just as I was about to check my phone, I sensed an S rank approaching. Hung, you said you'd sleep off your cold. What are you doing standing out here? And why are you here? I told you not to come. I wasn't going to wake you, I just... Chirp! The chirp let out a sound. Yoo-hyun glanced at me, then at the hat I was holding. Well, I got caught sooner than I expected. Is that a chick? I found it. It wasn't a lie, I did find it. It just happened to be in a dungeon. Chirp, chirp. You found it. Yeah, someone left it in the hallway. Maybe it wandered in from somewhere. Anyway, I found it. And you're sure it's a chick? My brother narrowed his eyes in suspicion. It's not exactly a normal chick. Screw it. I'll have to explain sooner or later. I pulled back the cloth covering the chirp and revealed it. It's a monster baby. What? F rank. Weak. Someone probably couldn't bring themselves to kill it and left it behind. I mean, I do raise monsters, right? Like the people who abandon puppies at shelters or pet cafes. Don't abandon your pets, folks. Silence. Just go with it. Yoo-hyun let out a small sigh. Why are you sighing when I'm the one raising it? Even if it's an F rank, it's still a monster. You need to tame it. I'll call someone tomorrow. Fine. While you're here, help me calm Peace down. Calm him down? If I just walk in with this thing, Peace might think I brought him a live snack. I quickly explained the situation and rewrapped the chirp in the cloth. Before opening the door, Peace had already sensed I was nearby, and I could hear his footsteps pacing back and forth behind the inner door. Peace, have you been behaving? I started to ask, then quickly changed my words. Squeak! Ignoring his request for attention, I walked into the living room. A bigger space would be better. Now, Peace, no attacking, I said as I lifted the hat. Peace had been staring at the hat the entire time, his ears perked up and his eyes wide open. It's not food. It's your little sibling. I slowly uncovered the chirp from the cloth. Chirp! Its white, round head popped out. It chirped again, and Peace's eyes grew even wider. This is your... Grrr. Ah. I guess he doesn't see it as a sibling. Peace bared his fangs and leapt towards the hat in an instant. Just before his teeth made contact with the hat, smack. Yoo-hyun grabbed him by the scruff of the neck, then, whip! He tossed him? What the hell? Oh, Han Yoo-hyun, you bastard!
Chapter 55. What the hell are you doing? A sudden burst of anger surged through me. Of course, Peace wasn't hurt in the slightest. He landed lightly on the ground. But that didn't mean Yoo-hyun could just throw him like that. Look at him, he's so startled he's frozen in place. Huh? What? Even Yoo-hyun looked confused. He had no idea why I was yelling. Seeing that expression on his face only made me angrier. When I think about it, this guy's never really cared much about Peace. Sure, he tried to kill him once because he wasn't growing, but back then he just saw him as a regular monster. But now, Peace is going to be his monster mounts soon. Why did you throw him like that? Chirp. Huh? Well, at C-rank stats, he wouldn't even feel that. So does that mean you could just throw anyone with high stats? Do you seriously think that's a good excuse? Chirp. No, that's not what I meant, but Don't look down at me. Sit down. Chirp. Yoo-hyun quickly plopped down on the sofa. For some reason, Peace sat down next to him too. Seeing the two of them sitting side by side with wide eyes looking up at me made the corners of my mouth twitch. No, I have to hold it in. They look so cute. Hunter Kong So-young said Peace would be her lifelong partner. Even before she brought him in, she said she would take care of him like he was her own child. And of course, she was very interested in Peace. The hunters from Breaker and Hanshin were the same. They asked all sorts of questions and said to contact them anytime if I needed anything. The Guildmaster of Saesung even brought gifts for Peace. And what about you? The more I spoke, the angrier I got. You pay for his food, which is the bare minimum, but other than that, what have you even done for him, you punk? Is he just a caught fish to you? Huh? Chirp. That's not it, but... Then what? Look me in the eye and explain yourself, Han Yoo-hyun. Chirp. Why does this bird keep chiming in? I don't ignore him. Of course I care. He's a top-tier monster mount, so of course I'm excited. I'm looking forward to him growing into an adult. But, how do I put this? Even with my best equipment, I make sure to maintain it, but I don't really, give it gifts or anything. Equipment. Equipment, you say? Yoo-hyun averted his gaze again. I think I've really misunderstood. You thought of Peace like equipment. Chirp. I was wrong. Just listening to him talk, it's clear he doesn't get it. He's acting just like he did when he was a kid. Maybe because he's only 20 after all. I'm not asking you to take care of him like a child, like Hunter Kong So-young does, but at the very least, you should think of him as an independent partner, not something you can just use however you want. You know he's not fully tamed yet. I know, but after a couple more dungeons, that'll be sorted out. No, you're right. I was wrong. I'll do better. His answer didn't feel very reassuring, but I can't force him to care more than he does. Maybe I should make sure they spend more time together. Like he said, a few more dungeons and they'll develop some camaraderie or something. Hug him. Who? Who do you think? Peace! Yoo-hyun glanced at Peace, who was sitting next to him looking rather unimpressed. Peace glanced back at him, then looked over at me. Kyung? I don't think he'd like that. He loves being hugged. He's gotten bigger, but he's still constantly begging to be held, to the point where it's exhausting. Yoo-hyun hesitated, extending his hand toward Peace, who bristled slightly. It's fine, Peace. He won't throw you. Kyung? They both looked incredibly awkward, but it was kind of nice to watch. I hope they become closer before the dungeon difficulty increases. When I sat next to Yoo-hyun, Peace immediately tried to climb into my lap. No. I blocked him with my arm and his ears drooped as he gave me a pitiful look. King! Then, for some reason, he turned to look at the little chirp and wagged his tail slightly. Kyung, whine. What, you're not going to attack Chirp anymore? Just in case I picked up Chirp, which I had set aside, and showed it to Peace. Instead of baring his teeth, he gave it a small lick. Then he tilted his head and looked up at me. Kyung, Chirp. Good boy, Peace. As soon as I praised him, he tried to climb into my lap again. This time, I didn't stop him, and he curled up, looking satisfied. Maybe he thought I wasn't letting him come to me because he attacked Chirp earlier. Even if he's pretending to be calm, you never leave them alone. That chick would not survive. Of course. You can't leave a bird and a cat together. By the way, are you free next week? I want to check your skills, level up, and take Peace into a dungeon. Not to mention, I needed to talk to the system creators. Yoo-hyun checked his phone schedule and nodded. Should be fine. I'll be ready. All right, then the dungeon run in the week is set. Now I just need to buy exclusive dungeon passes for the E and D ranks. I only have 4 days left in the blessing skills duration. Since I don't want to enter a dungeon on the last day, I effectively have 3 days. If there are no competitors in the exclusive bidding, I should be able to win both within 24 hours and complete the raids within the time frame. I'm looking forward to seeing what title I'll get this time. Please give me something useful. The OOO building will be demolished tomorrow, and a monster breeding facility will be built in its place. While many have expressed concerns about raising large numbers of monsters in the Heart of Seoul, There have been some minor issues, but things are moving quickly thanks to generous compensation. I'm thinking about building a 2-story facility and connecting it to the original 10-story building.
I sprawled out on the couch, looking at the blueprint I had just received. Peace was perched on my back, and Chirp was on my head. It'd be a problem if the others wanted to pile on too. Even with the blessing effect, my body's durability maxes out at mid-tier D rank. My hidden stats are probably still F rank. I can handle Peace, but if more jump on, I'm done for. Maybe I should start taking those herbal tonics Kim Sung-han's been sending. They say the breeding facility will be done in 2 weeks. Is that even possible? Even if most of the workers are awakened and using dungeon byproducts, it sounds like a rush job. The TV commentators were also discussing the construction speed and potential issues, but the general consensus was that it wasn't impossible. They're reinforcing the foundation instead of building a basement, and they're putting the training and breeding rooms on the first floor. Most of the time will be spent on the foundation work. Peace might be small, but there are other monsters with massive bodies, even as babies. The first floor will have spaces to accommodate them as adults. The cells for adult monsters is where the majority of the construction budget is going. Meanwhile, the second floor will be my living quarters. It'll be much smaller than the first floor, but they're using dungeon materials, so even if the first floor collapses, the second will stay intact. They're even planning to install a mini portal for entry. The remaining space on the roof will be landscaped into a park just as I requested. Basically, they're pouring a ton of money into this. The building that will connect to the breeding facility is more standard. It'll undergo some remodeling, but nothing major. The breeding facility will be double-walled, with access through the connected building. The remodeling will take longer than building the breeding facility itself. Isn't Goblin supposed to be back soon? I need to meet with Sok Hayan to deliver the information. I wonder if Myung-woo will want to tag along. I know he'll want to stay at Hayan, but I can't help that. I need to bring in Do Ha-min too. As for the Special Skill Awakening Center, once I hit level 20, I'll say I unlocked a related skill. I'll need to awaken 2 or 3 people with optimized initial skills to prove the skill works. That ridiculously good-looking guy from the broadcast came to mind. What was his name again? But what kind of environment would he need to awaken an optimized initial skill? If it's something related to his looks, he's already in the perfect environment. If he just keeps acting in movies and gaining popularity, won't he awaken naturally? Most people with special skills awaken while doing work related to that skill. Or they awaken when they're in life-threatening situations and survive using that skill. I wonder if a monster would back off after falling for his good looks. That guy's situation is really tricky. Maybe I should look for someone else. Han Yu-jin, known as the Monster Daddy for his monster breeding skill, and the young flame-horned lion, Peace. Damn it! They're playing that old broadcast of me again. Why do they keep showing it? If they're going to keep airing it, they should at least stop calling me Monster Daddy. Chirp, chirp. Little Chirp chirped at the TV. Did it recognize me? Chirp, chirp. Hey, where are you going? That's not me. I think this bird might be a little slow. Well, it's only F rank, so I can't compare it to C rank Peace. As Chirp flapped helplessly in front of the TV, I heard the door open. It must be Myung-woo. You're back. What's that? I found it. It's a monster, but it's only F rank, so it's harmless. Chirp, chirp. Cute, though, right? Yuhan just sighed when he saw how cute Chirp was. Then again, he's never been interested in animals even when he was little.
Chirp, having given up on the TV, was now flapping helplessly, unable to climb onto the couch. I picked it up as I instinctively checked Myung-woo's knife sharpening progress. Sharpening 10,000 blades. Progress 8,266 out of 10,000. Almost there. It'll be done in about 4 days. You've sharpened over 8,000 blades by now, right? Myung-woo looked surprised at my words. How did you know that? On the first day, you sharpened 1,000, and after that, you've been doing around 400 to 500 a day. You've mentioned how many you've done here and there, so I just put it together. You've been keeping track of that? Myung-woo looked genuinely touched. It's hard to deal with this guy. Even a casual remark leaves him emotional. I'm not as altruistic as he thinks I am. I'll come with you to the workshop on the last day. I'm curious about what kind of skill will come out, and since I started you on this, I should be there for the end. Eugen. There he goes again. I'll never forget what you've done for me. I'd appreciate that. I'll repay you for the rest of my life. That's too much, though. Just cook me some side dishes now and then. Snacks would be nice, too. Or bread. Anything, really. Damn. Should I just ask him to move in? 4 days left. I'm about to tear up. Myung-woo? Yeah? No, it's nothing. Damn it! I'm starting to sound like one of those overly attached boyfriends. Maybe it's better to be embarrassed now than act pathetic later? Yeah, so what if I'm a little embarrassed? Food is important. Hugging the little chirp tightly, I open my mouth. When you move out later, could you still cook for me sometimes? I don't care what it is, anything. I don't even have picky tastes, so please. Myung-woo froze. Maybe I went too far? Wait. Am I overstaying my welcome? Sorry if I've been imposing for too long. No. I'd love it if you stayed. Screw it. If I don't say anything, my meals will go from heaven to hell in 4 days, and I can't stand it. I can't eat anything but your cooking anymore. What? So please, just keep making side dishes for me. Myung-woo, who had been standing there in shock, twitched the corners of his mouth. Don't laugh. I know it's funny, but don't laugh. That's not a big deal at all. Sure, don't worry. I'll make you anything you want. Do you have any requests? I'm fine with anything. All right. If you ever crave something, just let me know. Myung-woo headed to the kitchen, looking very pleased. But what's he going to do when he gets busy? Sure, he doesn't have to keep his promise, but knowing him, he'll do his best to follow through. I feel embarrassed and a little guilty, but I'm also happy. I managed to win exclusive dungeon passes for both the E and D rank dungeon by the next afternoon. Since I had already taken Peace to the training room that morning, I didn't need any excuse. Myung-woo hadn't come back yet, so I left Peace in the living room cage and Chirp in a basket in my room, locking the door. I texted Myung-woo to say I was sleeping and not to disturb me. Praying that I wouldn't get caught again, I snuck out the same way as yesterday. This time, the E-rank dungeon had an underground cave environment. Personally, I hated caves, but this was the closest dungeon I could get an exclusive pass for. Ugh, it's so damp. As soon as I stepped through the gate, I was hit with the smell of mold mixed with the cold, wet air. Glowworms floated around in the dim light. And then, oh, hi, nice to meet you. What kind of greeting is that?
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. Have a suggestion? Let me know in the comments.